about those 5 photos that you sent to me and how that plays into your ultimate um, learned experiences from them?
Yeah. Well, there was this one photo that that always comes to mind right now, and is I feel like it's always going to be a classic because of the energy and the mind state that I was in when I took the photo.
Mm,
I was probably like, how old was I? I think I was 22. I was
hmm,
22 years. This was 5 years ago, and I had just got to Delhi in India, New Delhi.
mm-hmm.
Um, and this was after, like, I'd done traveling previous to this, but I had never kind of been to a place like India that was so different and foreign and
Yes.
completely different. And I was on my own, and it was probably like 3, 4 days from arriving. And I was just walking around, man, just visiting different temples, different mosques, different places, just taking photos of people. And the thing is that I find over there is that people are really kind of intrigued about you because even though I'm like a brown skinned dude,
Yeah.
and over there, they can just tell that I'm from a different place. That's the photo right there. So that was at a mosque, and those young 3 dudes were curious about me. You know what I mean? They were like looking at me, and I was looking at them because the way they were like, our cultures were so different, and
Mm-hmm.
even their body language and how they related to each other, how connected they were to each other, really stood out to me. And we didn't like, I couldn't speak to them. You know what I mean? I was using my body language, and they saw I had a camera, and I was like, oh yeah, can I take a photo, blah, blah, blah. And so they kind of like, you can just see the way they're sitting,
Mm-hmm.
way they're connected. And I've got more photos of them as well. But you can just see like the way that they're connected to each other. It really, a certain energy. And I felt like they were super comfortable with me as well. Um, so I was able to get these crazy photos of them. And the dude at the back was even
Mm-hmm.
curious about me as well, you know what I mean? Because he can just tell that I'm from a different place. He's like, what's going on here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just one of those moments that I captured a certain energy, and it was also a reflection of myself reflecting onto them and vice versa. And it created this really cool photo. And I've got some other photos of them from different angles, but that's kind of the gist of it.
Okay. Let me see. And then we have.
Yeah. That was pretty much like a street entertainer in Sri Lanka.
Oh, oh, you. Oh, this was Sri Lanka.
That,
Okay.
yeah.
Hey. Okay. I had some
And
friends that were from Sri Lanka, and I'll always ask them about how it
and
was there.
that's at the Sri Lanka is like, an island at the bottom of India. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and very different cultures, but at the same time. And shout out to Harsha because he's from Sri Lanka. And I actually stayed at he's in the chat right now. So I actually stayed at his house in Sri Lanka, and his family,
Mm.
me and my friend Lev. But that photo was a street entertainer, and he had a snake, and he had a pet monkey,
Mm.
and that's what he would do. You know what I mean? To like get some money,
Mm.
and it's not something you see back home at all. So
Yeah.
that was that.
Making sure. Yeah. So y'all are gonna kind of see some of the photos I have set up here. I'm just going through them. Yeah. This is one of the other ones you had sent me there. Like, where
Yeah,
is this specifically? Where are you right here specifically?
yeah. I was in the Himalayas on the way up to base camp Everest. And that was my second time in Nepal, and
Mm.
that time I had went by myself though, and so I was on my own. And you can see I've got my headphones around my head, and this was actually, when I was really first going off in my hip hop journey because I was just listening to music so heavy, man. And along the way during the journey, I was just writing. I took my laptop with me. I took a mic, and I was stopping at certain places and just recording.
Mm.
But the stuff, was pretty. I don't want to call it trash, but it wasn't the best stuff that I was writing because I was like starting my journey back then. So, but it was an experience like doing that, and I knew it was going
Yeah.
to be an experience. Yeah. And
Those
that
were
was
your
a
beginning bars.
for sure. not too beginning, but they were like, you know what I mean, getting through the flaws of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I did that trek for 30 days. So I was in the mountains for 30 days, just walking
Ooh,
around.
okay, my
Oh,
goodness.
and that was the first time I went to the Himalayas. And those were workers. I think they were building a path. You know what I mean?
It looks like it from at least what homie right here. I know it's hard to see. I'm like zooming in, but homie right here with the pickaxe over there going in looks like he is over there creating
Yeah.
the side of that road.
And that dude with the sticks there that's walking towards them, that's my homie Lev. And so we went together on that trek, and we did that whole trek together. And that was a really mad experience.
Mm.
Yeah. And that was a crazy photo. You know, that day I went around with my camera and took photos in just black and white
Mm.
the whole day. So that was like my mission for the day, was just to go around taking photos in black and white. And it captures a different experience, because I feel like when you take color out of a photo, you're forced to focus on what's actually happening in the scene, and then your brain's interpreting it in a certain way because it's missing elements to it. If I had put the color into it, it tells more of a story, but without it, it gives off a your brain just has to interpret more of what's going on, and it forces you to see
Mm-hmm.
things what it forces you to see things for what it is. I feel like.
Mm. Because we always say, black and white. They say not everything is black and white, but the way you put it there, it again, there's a theme, y'all, that's running in this interview. Not only about traveling, but also up for your own interpretations when it comes to things. It's not always just straightforward an answer. It's always there for you to get multiple meanings and multiple ideas that come out of it. But again, to make you sit in that present moment with it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But that photo was in India. In India. Oh yeah, it was in Varanasi, which is a really famous spiritual place where people come to be cremated when they die.
Mm,
So a lot of people's journey in India, like they really hope to be cremated in this city, and it's really like that was what, like 3 4 years ago, but it looks like it was taken, like it could have been taken 100 years ago.
mm,
You know what I mean?
wow.
Yeah, they get cremated in the Ganges River, a famous river.
Wow.
And you can also go to where the people are being cremated, and you can and see them literally literally burn bodies on top of firewood. And so we saw that, and that was an experience in itself. So
Wow. And I think this is the last one, possibly.
mm,
Let me double check. Yeah, that's the last one.
yes. That was in Cambodia, and I took that photo from my hotel room. I was sitting out the window, and these dudes were playing cards down there. One, just like swagged out with a cigarette in his mouth. I feel like I feel like I just captured that at the perfect moment. And if you look at the top left corner, you can see a dude on his phone sitting on his bike. And so I feel like all of the things that were kind of captured in that moment, it puts a timestamp on what was happening in the moment. And on that, when I was sitting at that time, I was at that hotel. I was in that room for like maybe, I would say maybe more than a week, and I literally spent that whole week just freestyling in that room, burning
Mm,
incense, smoking weed, and just freestyling. So it was a good experience. Just to add some extra detail to that photo.
wow.
Yeah.
Mm, 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 mm.